Hello everyone, and I'm sorry for coming late. I think I was 7 minutes late. So before I continue, can I hear our feedback on the Python class so far? Are we enjoying it, or is there any difficulties regarding the Python class so far? So, or is it going smoothly? So I want to hear some of our feedback. You can just type in the chat box, like we've done the basics of Python, the basics one, basics two. We've also done NumPy and Pandas. And today we'll be talking about, I'll be explaining Matplotlib and Seaborn. So is the Python class making sense so far? Or like compared to Excel and Power BI? So you can just type in the chat box. So I'm going to read our comments. So is it making sense? Or is it looking like something difficult? Okay, I think it's making sense for everybody because I cannot see any chat. Okay, somebody said it's a bit more complex. Okay, not yet. Okay. So yeah, that part of being a bit complex is something normal because Microsoft Excel and Power BI are kind of simple. They are just like drag and drop. They are not really a tools where you need to write something before it occur. But okay, I did not understand the pandas and numpy. Okay, somebody said did not understand the pandas and numpy. Okay, so is the difference between them is in Python here you have to write the code. Anything that you want to happen, like anything that you want it to happen in your code, you have to write it yourself. So I think that is the difference between them. So compared to your to Excels and Power BI. And at the end of the day, you discover that all these tools are used for single things. What we use Microsoft Excel to do, okay, and the file from the link you sent couldn't. Yes, you may not be able to download it. It's only if you know how to use GitHub. And I don't think I've explained that. Maybe I'll just find a day, maybe after when I've explained all the Python topics and all. So I'm just going to find a day where I'm just going to explain how GitHub works. So because GitHub is just the perfect place, same as me. So GitHub is just the perfect place to host your code, to keep your code and to even share. Just like my own now, I can easily share the link to it to anybody so that you can just go there to check my project. Even if I'm looking for jobs and I have some project on my GitHub, I mean there are even some recruiters that ask for it anyway. So yeah, that's just it. And I'm aware about that Python can be a little bit more complex compared to others, but it's just like a gradual process. So you practice over and over. With time, you get to understand them better. So since I'm seeing comment on I did not understand the pandas and numpy. So I'm just going to take my time to just make a brief overview or just like a brief recap on pandas and numpy. Then I can go ahead to explain Matplotlib today. So let me just open my, okay, let me share my screen first. Let me share my screen. So okay, this is Jupyter Notebook. So I'm trying to share my screen here. So this is my Jupyter Notebook, and I'm going to just I already have a pre-written file for the pandas and numpy that we did. So I'll just click on it. And I think I saw some messages on the group like I'm importing pandas, it's not this, it's not that. When you import pandas, nothing will tell you that pandas has been imported. You are not expected to see anything that will tell you, okay, hello, pandas has been imported or something. What you just need to see to be sure that this thing has been imported is this sign here. So here you will see one. So if I try to let me restart my kernel here. I'm going to restart and clear all output. Let me do that. So me doing that, you will see here that this square bracket, there is nothing here. There is zero, there is empty, 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 empty. So all these are actually empty. You can see they are all empty. So all these are empty. Okay, let me check on the second one. Okay, I think this will be the best one for example. Let me use this. So like I said yesterday, let me just try to just go over it again, and I believe I hope I'll be able to finish everything between now and the end of the class, like within this 1 hour. So pandas is just like a Python library. Just in Python programming language, we have different libraries that we use to perform different function or different things. Python has a lot of libraries, and these libraries are specific to a particular thing. So if you are learning data analysis, there are some libraries specific for data analysis. If you are learning data science, there are some libraries in Python that are specific to data science. Why, even if you are learning web development, Django, Flask, Fast API, depending on what you are learning, because Python is a multi-purpose language, right? So depending on what exactly you are using, you want to use the language to do. So uh that is what is going to give like a certain roadmap or what you are meant to use the language for. So now this pandas is used basically for data analysis, and you can see it has a function for analyzing, cleaning, exploring and manipulating data. So has reference, all these are just like basic things. And why do we use pandas? Pandas can clean messy data and make them readable and relevant. Relevant data is very important in data science because we need our data to be clean. We need to find a library that can clean the data and make it available in a ready to use format. So what can pandas do? Pandas give you answers about the data. So there are some certain questions that you want to answer from the data that pandas will give you that privilege of you being able to get those answers by using it to manipulate the data. So is there correlation between them? You can use pandas to check the correlation between two features in your data or even more than. So what is the average value? You can check the average value, you can check the maximum, you can check the minimum. I believe that all these ones are basic things in Microsoft Excel that we know. It's just like we are replicating the same using another tools, which is Python. We can check average in Excel, we can check average in like using Microsoft Excel functions and formula. We can take maximum, and I think I've explained that when we are using Microsoft Excel in our class. So those are things that pandas is also capable of, because all these things are things that we can also replicate using Python programming language. So pandas are also being able to delete rows. If you have a rows that you want to delete from your table, you can also use pandas to do that. So you can use it to delete rows, irrelevant data, and you can also use it or contain wrong value. So you can even remove the one that contain wrong value. You can try to do one or two things by cleaning the data. So how to get started with pandas? If you are using a notebooks, if you are using a code editor that is not Jupyter notebooks or any, because in Anaconda that we are using Jupyter notebook from Anaconda, is there is pre-installed library, just like these pandas, numpy, almost all the libraries that we can use for, although there are some that are not readily available that you need to install, but these are readily available. So instead of, if it's not readily available in, if you are using PyCharms now, PyCharms is also a code editor used to write Python that pandas is not readily available in it. So before you can use it, you have to use pip install pandas, that is pip install pandas. Then if this command fail, then use a Python distribution that already has pandas installed like Anaconda, Spider, etc. So import pandas. So once it's been installed, so if you are using a code editor or an environment where this is not readily available, you need to install it. Then once you install it, the next thing to make use of pandas is using this keyword import, and be conscious of using I as capital letter or using this P as capital letter. If you use this I or P as capital letter, it's not going to work. So you have to use small letter. You have to start with a small letter and use small letter throughout. Import pandas. And if you want to make use of this in your subsequent lines of code, you may need to use as PD, because when you use as PD, you'll be able to be, you continue to use the PD often and often again. So you'll be able to use the PD, you'll be able to use the PD instead of using the pandas. So now I just want to just import it, import pandas, and it has been imported, because I'm also seeing messages of people that they can't import pandas, is not importing, is not. So once this thing is showing this number, that shows it has already been imported, then you can use it. So now pandas is imported and ready to use. And if you are not, like, if you now want to keep using pandas, now if I want to use pandas, I have to be writing pandas again and again. But if I don't want to do that, I have to use an alias called PD. So you can also derive another one for yourself, or you can keep using the one we have already. So now I'm importing pandas as PD. So anytime I want to use pandas, I'm only going to be calling PD. And calling this PD is going to uh it's going to serve as pandas. So now I'm creating a table. I want to create a table of data. So I call it Techie Jones Data Analysis Student Bios. So I'm trying to create a table for Techie Jones Data Analysis student, and I'm trying to create a table that has name, that has age, that has numbers of time present in class. So these are just like these are what I'm trying to do with my data. So now you can see the variable name here is Techie Jones Data Analysis Student Bios, and I'm trying to create a table. The table need to have a name, has to have a age, and have to have numbers of time present in class. And you can see, because what I want to be inside the column of name is not one, I have to put them in list, because list allow me to put different elements inside that square bracket. So the reason why I'm using this square bracket, that is denoting, that is showing, that is making this to be a list. So this square bracket, I'm using this list just because list can allow multiple elements. So now I have this name as Abayomi, and don't forget, anytime you are working with text have to be inside a quotation. While if you are working with number can be in form of integer or float. Integer is any number without the decimal, while float is any number that has decimal. So anytime you are working with numbers, you don't necessarily need to put it inside the quotation. But anytime you are working with text, you have to put it inside a quotation. And you can see here we have Abayomi, we have Sola, we have Kunle, we have Victoria, we have Femi. And don't forget, anything you are putting here must be equals to everything that you are putting in other square bracket. So we can see here for age we have 23, 30, 27, 35 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here as well we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then numbers of time present in class, we have 9, 5, 6, 8, 9. So this is also the same. And don't forget, all these are inside curly braces. We started with these curly braces here, and we ended it with curly brace, because the reason why some of us are having issue with this is because we are not paying attention to it. I've seen someone sending all these things to me that is not working, is not, and immediately I saw those code, immediately I saw it, I would have seen the error. That is why this thing is not working. So if you pay close attention to the details inside this, you won't be facing any issue. And this is not even something that you should be limited to. You can also form your own by following just like the guideline on how it is. Then you can try to recreate it and do it in your own way, not exactly this anymore. Like that's just like the for purpose of practicing, and try to lay your hands on them. And I think that's how you can know it better. So now we have name, we have Abayomi, as you can see, because this number can be expanded to 30, it can be expanded to 100, it can be expanded to any length that you want it to be. So age, we have this number. So if I just run it, and notice this, that after each square bracket there is comma until this last one. It's only this last one that did not have a comma, but the others have comma. But once it gets to this end, there's no comma again. Okay, the shortcut to run the code is just shift and enter. So once you press shift and enter, it's going to run, or you can look for the run button at the top. So once you look for the run button at the top, it's also going to run. But if you want to use shortcut, it's just shift and enter, shift and enter. So if I click this and I also click this, you see here that after creating this data frame, I have to merge it with using data frame, which is PD. PD is pandas dot data frame, then I'm putting the names of this dictionary inside it, and calling bios is showing those details in this table. We have abayomi, age, we have numbers of time present in class, and you can see them, you can see them, you can see them. So this is it. So bios age dot max. Now we want to check for the maximum age. So if we run it, you can see, checking for maximum in Excel, we know some of the formulas and functions that we can use, but now in Python, you will notice that we are just trying to replicate the same thing in different format or using different tools. So BIOS age dot maximum, here I can get the maximum age that is inside my data, and this is not really looking special because we can literally see every details inside this table. But when we start dealing with hundreds, thousands of rows or a big data set where it is not possible for us to really see what is going on, so that's when using all these particular functions we sound something special. So now this is checking for age maximum. We are able to see 35, and now we want to check the person that has that 35 age. So we are starting with bio square bracket bio, then square bracket age, then equals to 35, so that it's going to filter the data by that 35. And you can see here that we have Victoria. Victoria has age of 35, and the numbers of time present in class is 8. So I can also check for minimum. It's just like the same procedure. So BIOS, and this BIOS can be DEF depending on what exactly you want it to be. So BIOS square bracket age then dot min. That is, we want to check for the minimum age. So now the minimum age is 20. So if I run this by trying to check where the age is coming from, you have BIOS square bracket BIOS then square bracket age equals to 20. So we can see that, we have been able to filter out the whole data set with that age, which is 20. So now we know that the owner of this age is Femi, and he came to class 9 times. So this is just like process of analyzing the data, like you are already getting details or getting more familiar with what is going on there. So this particular table as well is just talking about the names of the politician, their party, the vote count and school. So we are just trying to use this as example, and just like, okay, we are trying to check on the election result and we are trying to give it name, give it party, give it vote count and school. So if I run this now, and don't forget, anytime you run this by putting them inside a curly braces like this, you have to find ways of changing it to a data frame. So we have Nigeria underscore election underscore result, which is equals to pandas. You can either use pandas or PD because you already have PD as pandas. But I think just because uh the import here is just new one, like it's not referencing the previous one. I think it's referencing the previous one. We should have continued with PD instead of importing pandas again. But now Nigerian election result equals to PD dot data frame then open bracket. So the names of the election result, in which is this, you have to put it inside a square bracket. inside the parenthesis rather. So pandas or pd dot data frame then open bracket Nigeria underscore election result. So let me just run this and let me run this as well. So we can see here that here is the result. We have for name, party, vote count and school. So this is it, and we can get to know more about this data by using some of um so we can get to know more if this data is larger than this by using the maximum, like checking for the vote count. We can also try to do it before moving to another thing. So um I don't know why it's not okay. Am I spelling it wrongly? Okay. So what I'm trying to do is to check for the maximum vote count. So I want to check the maximum vote count and I want to know who have the maximum vote count. So this is how to check for the maximum vote count by putting the names of the data frame, which is Nigeria election results, then putting the names of the column, then dot max to check for the maximum. Now I want to know where the maximum is coming from. So I'm just going to put this name, this number. I'm just going to put it here and let's see. So now putting that number here, I can see here that okay, the person that have the highest numbers of votes is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So it's like more easier when you are able to do these things to get to know your data and what is there and what you can achieve with your data. So you can also, the one I've been talking about is the one of you trying to create your data set yourself. What if the data set you are given? So this as well is just like making series with Python Pandas. So and we can also map it in this format, which is day 1 to 420, day 2 to 380, day 3 to 390, and then you can see it here that is mapped together, day 1, this day 2, day 3, and all. So then create a data frame from two series. You can also create a data frame from two series, which dict equals to name, then you can see we have environment, then we also have age 23. So if we run it, this is just like a dictionary, but if you want to put it inside if you want to make it a data frame, you have to apply a data frame to it to make it a data frame. So if I run this now, it's going to show this. So this data is just on calories and duration. So this is the table here showing the two. We can also try by loading the existing data that we have. So the one we did is just like we trying to create a data set ourselves, but now we can also work with the data set we have. But one part that is dangerous in this side is you not putting the data set you want to work on in the directory that you are working on. So if the data is not there, it's not going to uh if the data is not there, you'll be facing challenges by importing and all to the environment or copying the part. If you know how to copy the part, you won't have issue, but if you don't know how to copy the parts, it's better to put the data uh inside so it's inside, like putting it inside a folder. So just create a folder anytime you want to work on a project and put the data set inside that particular folder. So once you put it inside the folder, you'll be able to locate it very fast here. And once it's inside that directory, so it's not going to result to an error. So now Microsoft Excel has different format of data. We have XLX data, we have comma separated value data, we have a lot of different types of datas and the format they belong to. So this is just like Excel format, which is uh using data frame here, which is equal to pd.read_csv underscore excel. So because this data is xlx, that's why we are using pd.read_excel. But if it is csv, it's going to be pd.read_csv. And there are a lot of Excel formats, and this you can even import HTML file. You can you can work with any form of data set, but what you just need to do is putting that data set inside the folder, because if you did not put it and correctly locate it here, it's going to result to an error. So this one now, sales.xlx, let me see, maybe it's here. So sales3.cs, okay. Okay, let me just look for the data set here. If the data set is here. Okay, I don't think it's here, but let me try to run it if it's going to run. Okay, okay. The reason why this is XLX is because they have different formats. They have different formats. So I'm just trying to show this. The data that we have is in CSV format, so comma separated value. But this is just showing the possibility that Microsoft Excel has different format, which is this one is one of the example. pd.read_excel then sales.xlx. So this xlx is being used because it's being used because it's just to show that the different format exist, but the data that we will be working with is just CSV. So import pandas as pd, df equals to pd dot read underscore csv, then open bracket sales3 dot csv. Then once you so after you identifying like the format that your data belong to. So this one belong to CSV. So and you just use df equals to pd dot read underscore csv, then df head. What this df head means is that you just want to see the first 5 rows of your data. So if we added a number in front of uh if I just add, like, let me add 20 and run this, so it's just going to it's going to provide me up to like 20 rows, but it's going to stop by 19 because it's starting from 0, so 0 to 19. So once we do it, now it has already displayed, so I'm going to just remove it again and run it. So now it's just the first 4. We can also try to do forte. So if we are trying to do forte, we are just going to see a very large numbers. So we can check the length of the data to see, to know something about them. Oh. So checking for the length of this data has 113,000 thousands row. 113,000 row. That's what this particular data set have. So and here we can easily check, after checking the whole length, we can also check the maximum of the profit. And don't forget, anytime you are analyzing the data, don't just analyze data based on the mindset of I just want to do visuals, I just want to, so always try to think through and see the reason why you are making some analysis, or what are the important things that people want to see from the data. So in this data here, if there's a provision for profit, so we have profit here, and you will see this unit cost, unit price, or cost, those are things that made up profit. And we also have revenue. So now, seeing that profit is one of the important thing, and I think our revenue is also important. So any analysis that we want to carry out, we will probably try to focus on the cost, and also the cost, the profit and the revenue. So length of the DF is 1,136, or 113,000, 113,000. That is the rows of the data. Then I can easily check for the maximum price profit. So checking for the maximum profit, here we have 15,096. So now I want to check where this profit belong to. So um we're going to use this square bracket df square bracket profit, in which I'm just going to copy this to this so that it will look like it will be very easy to see the profit and to see people that they are entitled to that particular profit. So if I run this now, you will see that we have uh country. If you want to check on the country, we have Australia, we have Queensland, we have the product that the person is selling is clothing, we have sub category which is vest, we have, so these are just like basic properties of the profit, that the item that have the highest profit, and it can be traced down to really understand why they have or not. So we can also check for minimum. Minimum is minus 33, and we can just wonder that why or how will a profit be negative. So in this scenario as well, it can be that uh, the company is running into loss. That's why they keep minusing. So this minus 30 now, anybody coming in, or so this minus 30 now, we can see that all any products being sold, that okay, let me first trace the product out so that we can know what to say about it. So now if I trace this product, and you can see that the product is still clothing. So clothing here has the maximum profit, while clothing here also has the minimum profit, or can I say this lost because it's negative. But we are going to discover that okay, this one is 17 December, while this one is 24 July. So we can easily see some of the things that happen, or some of the things involved here, and the minimum profit we got is minus 30. So DF revenue, we can also check for revenue and also try to know the amount of our revenue, how to check the maximum revenue. Let me just check. So this is the maximum revenue, and I'm going to try to check where the highest revenue belongs to. So I'll just put revenue here. If I run this now, oh okay, I've not really copied this. So now checking for the maximum revenue, you can see this is the maximum revenue here, and the category is also on clothing. So I can also check for minimum. So now we already check for the maximum revenue. We can also check for the minimum revenue, and we can see that the minimum revenue is just 2. So I can also try to check on that. So now we will see that there's a lot of them here. Okay, sir, please, what does the data frame do? What data frame does is just like, the simplest answer that I can give is talking about any data inside a table, like a structured format. That's just what I can just use to explain. Or let me see if there is a simple definition online. So a data frame is a table structure that organize data into a two-dimensional table of rows and column. Much like a spreadsheet, data frame are one of the most common data structure used in modern data analysis because they are flexible. And so basically what data frame is just like working with data of two dimension that has table, rows and column. Anytime you see a data that has row and column, that's like a data frame. So in Microsoft Excel, we are not calling it data frame, but here we need to call it data frame because this is not like design in Excel format. So here you have to call it data frame. So basically it's just like a table or two-dimensional data, structured data that is in uh, rows and column. So we can try different things. We can try to play around with the data using different things. You can check is null sum. You can check a lot of things. You can check unique value count. You can check for maximum again and on and all. So that's just like that on. Let me see. Our time is fast spent. Let me just quickly use the remaining time to explain Matplotlib. Matplotlib is not difficult. So Matplotlib is just like a visuals library. They use it for visualization basically. So if it's not installed on your laptop, you have to install it. But if you are using digital notebooks, you don't necessarily need to do. So what you need to do is just to import it. So let me just try to run us through. So what we just need to do is import import matplotlib. So once I install it now, after checking it, so it's already here. So since this thing has changed to one, that shows I've imported it and I can easily use it. You can also check for the version of your matplotlib before continue work, but it's not really important to check. So you can also import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. So I'm going to run that. So now we are trying to combine an array to form a visuals. I explained NumPy yesterday, and I think I was okay last week. I was showing okay one dimensional array, second two dimension, three dimensional array. So NumPy is just like in form of array. So now I want to use this array to create y point and x point. Then after getting it, I'm going to just plot the x point and y point direct, and this array uh so np.array and np.array, this array will now start from 0 to 6, while this arrow will also start from 0 to 250. So if I run this now, So now we can see the chart. So we have the x point, this is the x point which is 0 to 6, and this is the y point which is 0 to 250. So plotting x and y. So plotting x and y axis. So the function is used to draw point markers in a diagram by default. So the plot function draw lines from point to point. The function take parameter for specifying points in the diagram. So we can also try to use this style, import matplotlib.py plot as plt, so import number as np. So x point equals to np dot array, then 1.8 y point. So it's just like we are trying to do more of it, like just the way we did the first. So now we can see the chart. You can also try to add markers to it. So if I run this, it's going to add this marker, and you can see, so this marker, this, although this can be used to pass some important information across at times, but not just like here. We can easily trace, okay, maybe like this point down to this, to know maybe to just be sure, like it can be used to denote a significant things from your chart. So using marker, and at times you may not. So this is just like what we use y npra this that form this. We can also use dotted line instead of that. So this one is just like dotted line, and you can see you just need to change from here, line style equals to dotted, then y point, then np.array which is 38110. So this is it. We also have, this is also another example. This is x which is equals to np.array, then putting all this number, then y equals to np.array, putting this, then plt.plot xy, then plt.xlabel average plot, then plt.ylabel. So if we run this now, for the, this is the y label which is calorie burnage, and this is x for average up. So for average pause, so this is just like the names I gave here, that is plt. X label means x axis, y the plt dot y label also means y axis. So this is also an example. In this place, I try to add title to what I'm trying to do. So running this now, this has title, has X label, and also Y label. So, and you can see the source code here. X equals to np dot array, then put in any number. Y equals to np dot array, then put any number. Then plt dot plot xy. So then title, X labels, and Y label. So these are just like basic possibility that we can see in using Python matplotlibs for our visualization. So this is the source code here. So I'm going to share the link to this, a link to just like uh, the the source code on the GitHub. You can also try to copy it or just try to replicate it just to understand it better. So we can also add legend to it. So you can see plt.grid, and this is it here. So these are just like basic possibility using Matplotlib. So you put in the number, you put in the plt.title, that is the title you want it to be, the label that is x-axis, y, then you plot x and y, then grid, put it in legend, like putting it in this format. So we also have this. So we have this, and we have this. So this is just like me trying to play around so many things using Matplotlib, and we are still going to combine all of them together to work on a single project: NumPy, Matplotlib, and Pandas. So somebody said it's getting complex. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here. So I'm just going to stop here. I'm going to share a link to all this so that you can also try and practice them on your own. So this is just like the place I'm going to stop for tonight. So hope to see us tomorrow. And if you have question, you can just ask it on the Telegram group. So anytime I'm able to come online, I'm going to answer them. So goodbye.